Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're just coming across my video for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe, share and like this video. If you're a returning subscriber, you're also welcome. So today we'll be drafting this beautiful gown with flounce. So what I marked vertically was the armhole line, the waist line, the hip line, the full length. So now I'm marking my shoulder, which is 8 inch. So I'll do the same on the armhole line. Normally my armhole line is 8 inches, but I use 7 for this because this is a sleeveless gown. So I'm going to rule the straight line across it. Right now I'm taking my neck measurement, which is 4 inches. By the shoulder line, I'll go down by 1 inch and connect it to the neckline. I'm going to get the midpoint of my armhole line, which is 3 inches. I'll take my bust measurement. I'll go in at that shoulder midpoint by ½ inch, then I'll connect it. So right now I'm going down from my bust point by 1 inch, then I'll take my nipple to nipple measurements for my darts. I'll take that on my waist, which is 4½. My nipple to nipple is 9, so half of it is 4½. By my hip line, I'll go up by 3 inches. Then I'll take my nipple to nipple measurement at that spot. I'll connect on a straight line. So for my dart, I'm using 1½, so I'll distribute it at the waistline equally. So I'll connect it to that 1 inch I went down by the bust point and 3 inches by the hip line. So this is my darts. So right now I took my bust measurements earlier before connecting my armhole line. So now I'm adding my 1 inch allowance. So I'm taking my waist measurement, which is 9½. I'll add my darts 1½, then 1 inch allowance. I'm doing the same on my hip measurement. I'll add 1 inch allowance. Then for the full length, I'm going to minus 1 inch from my hip. Then I'll mark the remaining on my full length. Actually, this is not my full length. The paper is not long enough. So I'm going to add 10 inches when cutting it on my fabric. So I'm adding ½ inch on my shoulder for joining. So I'll connect it. Next step, I'm going to cut my neck. So I'm going down from my shoulder line by 6 inches. Then I'll connect it to the neck. So that's all for the front pattern. Let's cut out. So I'm indicating it that I'm going to add 10 inches when cutting it on the fabric. So this is the back pattern. I already ruled in 1 inch for my zipper allowance, marked my armhole line, which is 7 inch, my bust point 12, my waist 18.5, and my hip 28. So right now I'm marking my shoulder just the way we did at the front pattern, 8 inches, then I'll connect it. So right now I'm taking my bust measurements. I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'll take my neck width, then I'll connect it to that 1 inch shoulder slope. I'll get the midpoint of my armhole line, then I'll connect. So at my bust point, I'm going to take my dart, which is 4.5, on my waistline, and on my hip I'll go up by 3 inches, just the way I did at the front. Then I'll take my bust point there, and I'll connect. I also use 1.5 inch for my dart, so I'll distribute it equally. Then I'll connect. I was drafting the front pattern. At the bust point, I went down by 1 inch, but for the back, I'll just connect direct to the bust point. So I'm taking my waist measurements. I'll take my dart, which is 1.5, then 1 inch allowance. I'll add my 1 inch allowance at the bust line. Then my hip measurement with 1 inch allowance. Then on the full length, just the way we did at the front, minus 1 inch and take it. For this back pattern, I'm going to distribute the 1 inch equally. I'll take half an inch towards the zip side, then mark the 11.5 inch. So right now I'm going to connect. At the zipper part by my waist, I'm going to go in by 3/4 of an inch to avoid zip bulge. So I'll connect it down to my neck and down to my hip on a curve. Just watch the way I'll do it. That's my hip line. Then I'll connect it from my waist. So it will accommodate my butt. So right now, sorry, I lost the clip of me cutting. So I cut. Don't forget to add your 1 inch zipper allowance and also your 1/2 inch at the shoulder before cutting. This is it. So I'm going to indicate on the front pattern. So it will be cut on fold. Then you cut 2 pieces of the back pattern. So this is it after cutting on the fabric. I used 3.5 yards for this. So this is the back. I added my 1-inch zipper allowance and the 10-inch I told you earlier. So this is the back. I cut it, 2 pieces of it. This is the front also. I didn't add any allowance because I already added it on the pattern. So it's on fold. This is it. Cut out a long strip. I'll fold it in a bias form and hem the neck. I'll do the same at the back neckline too. So this is it after sewing the neck. I did the same to the back neckline too. So now I'm going to sew in my darts for the front and also do the same thing at the back. After sewing in my darts, I'll join it at the shoulder, the front and the back by half inch. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. This is it after sewing in the darts for the front and the back, and also joining it at the shoulder with half inch. This is it. This is the shoulder. And this is the back dart. So right now I'm going to place the back pattern on the front pattern. Side facing right side. Then I'll join it by the side by 1 inch. 1 inch allowance we left for the joining. I'm going to join it by the side. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. So this is it after joining it with the 1 inch we left for allowance. So right now I'm going to turn it to the back part. That's the zipper part. Then I'll take my body measurement. After taking the body measurement, I will sew it down. This is it after sewing it. You can insert your zip if you have. I don't have my zip now. That was why I just sewed it down. So this is the 1 inch we left at the butt. I'm taking my measurement from the shoulder down to where I want the opening to start from. At this side, I'm going by 41 inch. And at the other side, I'm going to take 34 inch. You can make yours shorter than mine, but I'm okay with this measurement. So I'm going to connect it on a straight line. After marking, I'll cut it out. As you can see, I left half inch for joining. So this is it after cutting. So right now I want to cut my flounce for the lower part of my gown. So I folded my fabric into two. So right now I'm taking my vertical and horizontal measurement, divided by 2 to get the midpoint. So I'm going to rule it on a straight line. So that's my midpoint after taking my vertical and horizontal measurement. So from the midpoint, I'm going to mark like a cross to indicate my midpoint. So from there, I'm going to take 5.5 inch for my flounce. That's the length of my flounce is 5 with ½ inch joining allowance. I'll take it round that cross at earlier. So I'm taking 5.5 inch round. So I'll connect it like a circle. Just watch what I'm doing. At this side, instead of connecting it round, I'll connect it down under the other side. I'll go in by 5.5 inch too. So just watch the way I connect it down to the other 5.5. Sorry, it's not visible to you. So right now from that first line, I'm going to mark 5.5 round. I'll just be marking it and connecting it. You keep marking a 5 inch until you get to where you can no longer get the 5 inch. So this is it right now. So I'm going to cut it out. So this is what I did at the midpoint. I just cut that side out. So I'll go towards this part where I couldn't get the 5.5 inch. So I'll just cut it like this. This will be the side that will be dripping at the side of the gown after connecting it. That's the part that will be flying after joining it at the down part of the gown. So for the other part, I got my 5.5 inch. I have 2 pieces of it, so I'm going to join one piece to the other with ½ inch. Then after that, I'm going to join it at the down part of the gown. So this is how I'm going to join it by ½ inch. So after joining it, this is the gown. So I'm going to sew it at the down part by ½ inch, but I made a pleating at the down part. So this is it after sewing it. Started joining from one side of the longer part, that's the 41 inches, and I took it round and bring it back, leaving the other part to fly. Then at the shorter parts, I just made a rose with one of the flounce, that's the remaining of the flounce, and also left some parts hanging. So I've inserted my zip. This is it. This is the gown. So right now I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. I want it to be 3 inches because it's sleeveless. So I'll take it. I have 3.5, so I'll use 1/2 inch to sew it. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. This is it after